good, my anime people? What is good, yo? We are pretty lucky to be getting not only a good amount of seasons of My Hero, but also a movie that was absolutely outstanding and seemingly wanted to be canon so bad. It was trying to be canon so bad. And there's reasons why it probably shouldn't be canon, but that's only for the artist and the author to really be able to, actually put that out there, in my opinion. Like, even if the story kind of has some of the flaws to make it non-canon, if he says it is, then it is, So, um, but I will touch on that a little bit more in the middle, or more when we get to the parts that seemingly would make the story hard to believe that it is canon. But pretty much this movie takes place on an island that is inhabited by 10,000 scientists, and all of these scientists pretty much are either pretty much the same way and as Deku was trying to become, big scientists as well as they would be as, heroes and stuff like that because we've seen what scientists at UA actually do or what they're really good for, and that's pretty much why we have Deku being able to use a lot of his power, not only in this movie, but as well as in, the episodes where he literally gets better gear and better equipment so he can, hold back on hurting himself, which is pretty smart in my opinion to then, you know, dial it up again, as in you show us just even more how important these people can be um, easily by showing us just everything they're pulling off in this laboratories that they've created. This is pretty much just an expo for them to show off and have fun and stuff like that. But at the same time, we got to see a good amount of where all of the props go to, and seemingly all of the real brains and best seemingly inventions are from Dave Shield, All Might's best friend and pretty much the creator of all of All Might's costumes, from this young age to the bronze age to the silver to the gold age. This man has made all of All Might suits, and to think that we got that aspect in this movie was kind of funny to me. To think that it was probably never going to be told throughout the main story, like who or how his stuff was created, which I mean is fine, but seemingly it felt like it was kind of important because the person that he was fighting with, or the person that had created him, was practically on the battlefields, coming up with new and inventive ways to not only protect people from being hurt during the battles, but he was also just as quick, if not maybe a little bit more mobile than All Might, because he built a car that can straight up fly and keep up with a villain that had like 6 feet, and he was just dipping using buildings and propelling himself. So it's one of those things where the show brings in such a cool or the movie brings in such a cool aspect that hasn't been necessarily brought up in the show, and you can tell that the way that they use it was very safe in the sense of it never shows up really again. I mean, we get a little nod to a car that kind of reminded me of the car David was using, one that could fly and go underwater. Like that was his next upgrade, was just to be able to go underwater and have even more mobility. So it's not like they just completely uh, dropped the concept of it throughout the movie after bringing it up, but it definitely was something that they just wanted to show off overall, in my opinion. And it was really cool that All Might was using it as pretty much his way to get to higher areas much quicker without like ruining the ground and stuff. He's just jumping off that car, and you see every time he propels himself off the ground, they like to be realistic and show that he's straight up breaking the concrete under him and stuff like that. So the one thing I really, really wanted to praise this movie on, and I didn't really expect it to be that type of movie. I thought it was going to be more of a um, power-based movie where they can just cut loose and stuff. And as soon as I saw that All Might was more of a centerpiece than I was expecting, I definitely wanted to see a lot of All Might action, which that's what we got. We got his backstory. We got him doing stuff at a time period when he really would not be able to do this, but um, if he does do this and this is how the battle ends and stuff, it's just like he's broken. All Might is truly, truly the GOAT of just like being a powerful overhaul, throwing punches, man, and never giving up when you really should probably be giving up. Seeing the dramatic change in like the not the animation style, but just like they show you young All Might, and then you go back to the All Might that you know and love that we all started with, and you just see this crazy resemblance of the whole like it just looks like a gouging holes in his eyes of when it looks all black like how it does usually when he's in his gold age. It feels weird to see that image of him and just seeing how like he almost seems not the same anymore. Like I understand he was young, and I guess that's his wide-eyed hopeful age where everything was looking at was brand new and surprising to him, I guess. But it just really, really pointed out like the difference in him from then until now. I mean, sure, he's much stronger. He's throwing punches and stuff that are nowhere near close to as strong as his punches were. Like I'm guessing, the young age comparing it to the bronze, or not bronze, but the young age comparing it to the silver. Like those punches would have been nowhere near as close to the same. But then we look at what he's done on a empty tank after the injuries, and this man is powerful. And to think that the same person, All for One, pretty much like was tanking attacks from like a full power All Might, when he didn't have the injuries and stuff like that. It's just another reason why people like might not understand what we even saw, and what could have been even possible in the future for those, or not future, but in the past for those two characters when we see All Might and we see All for One going at it. And to think that this is the power of these guys, one person is pretty close to being at the best he can be. He's nothing to laugh at. But the other guy, All Might, he's definitely something to laugh at compared to what he used to be. And even after, or even before him handing down his powers, he was still holding his own very well. Sure, albeit not for long, but it was still, keeping up with villains that are 100%. And he's not only is he fighting these villains to win, but he's not fighting to kill. So that's also a big factor, and we see a lot of that being played on in this movie, because as soon as he aims a gun or as soon as he threatens a hostage, the heroes lose. Or lose in the sense of they need to start doing whatever the guy commands at that point. That was the whole, like, very easy basis behind the villains' actions in these weeks. Not to mention the villains had a really kind of lame role in this movie. They were fake villain. They were supposed to be fake villains, but come to find out they're villains that actually have ties to All for One. And then all of a sudden, instead of fake villains, you get some very try hard, trying to end people's life villains. So we literally, I think, seen the true first death of my hero, like a real death, like hardcore. With what? No, no, actually, we don't, right? Yeah, no, we don't. We would have seen a hardcore death. We seen two people get shot, and the second shot was meant for someone else, but it saved him. He would have literally got headshotted, and it would have been a wrap. So I don't know if this is like a little nudge to say the series is going to get darker, but what I was saying about the series being for everybody is at the very beginning, they break it down to you, like all of the struggles, all of the things they've really been through, and then they want it to stop at a certain point in time, so it feels like the movie is just a middle part of what happened in the bigger story. And that's what I mean by they wanted it to be canon, because if they really wanted to, um, they could have taken the story to a further part, almost. Uh, they're trying to say that this story happens like a good bit before All for One actually fights All Might, and All Might actually puts all of his powers into pretty much taking him out. So if that didn't exist and happen, that's pretty much where this story is taking place. And to then put this story into context that it happens around that time, that means somehow All Might puts out all this power, fights a man who like amplified his power so much that he might be able to give Magneto a run for his money, a very like mid-tier Magneto, not the Magneto that can move the Earth plates, but a Magneto that I guess maybe the movie Magneto, who was like he was on a bridge just controlling everything, you know. Um, this man and his magnetism was on point, and All Might and Deku was having like a hard problem with it, even before he got the power up. So to think that this power up that he gets was meant for All Might kind of gave you this feeling that uh, there might be people, or not people, but there might be a way that they're looking into keeping All Might around even longer than we expect, with one being Dekun having this girl Melissa, which I hope, if anything becomes canon out of this, let's have Melissa be something that's canon out of this, because she straight up comes out with the clutch full gauntlet where Dekun can straight up just throw punch after punch after punch, which I was going to say Dekun is 3 times strong. The full All for One is 3 times stronger than, I guess All Might, if she based that full gauntlet on All Might's punch and try to make it so 3 times his punch could be absorbed. Um, that's where I was going. I was like, oh man, that clearly is saying that if since Dekun is straight up using it and punching and absolutely just destroyed it, which he didn't necessarily only use it as a fist or like use it as attacking. That's the problem with saying that he's that powerful, in my opinion, because he was using it for defense. He was using it for blocking bullets before he even got to where he was at up top, before Marissa even knew about her father being in cahoots with the villain. So he was doing quite a bit with it, in the untraditional sense of just throwing punches with his ability. So I feel like the arm was definitely, well, and to put it lightly, if I wanted to still say it was, which I could, I could say that our bullets, are all the attacks and stuff that he was taking 3 times stronger than All Might, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I can go with it as well. But in my opinion, it felt more like a situation where because it was just being used for every situation, it I mean, he even used it on the robots when they wait, no, he didn't. I was about to say he used it on the robots too. No, but I mean, he did use it on some robots in that in the fights, but he almost used it more for defense in this movie than he did for actually battling, and that's kind of what I'm taking into account. But all I gotta say is if she thought that was 3 times that All Might could punch, and All Might just kept up with Deku, who has full cowling, and not only does he have full cowling, he straight up can control the certain percentages he's putting out. So as soon as he actually put out full non-control percentage, um, or like 100%, where his arm should just have got obliterated afterwards, All Might was still right there matching him or even passing ahead of him in pace, So this is still an All Might who is absolutely gassed and gets a little bit of motivation from his students showing up and just going in. So this is a very weird way for the show to try to introduce, All Might's just another feat that All Might's done within the time period before fighting All for One. Which, I mean, I feel like it was definitely based more on Deku growing as a hero and looking as if All Might did when he was a kid. And not only that, it was more based about the teamwork and the friendship that he's even building that seemingly All Might could have done, but being the symbol of peace probably made a lot of heroes that he was working with kind of mad, only in the sense of why would the symbol of peace be asking for help? Clearly, the symbol of peace thought he could handle everything and anything. And that's maybe why this All Might kind of didn't have that many people on his side when it comes down to just who he reaches out to. And the first person that's his best friend is a guy that just helps him and he's quirkless. Um, it all kind of draws this narrative that when he got this power and he didn't want to tell anybody about it, I think that might also uh, maybe alienated him from some people and not shedding his story to everybody. That you know, just like David could tell, or someone, yeah, I think it was just David, but he could tell that All Might wasn't telling him something. Like there was something going on with his ability, and David wanted to know, and he's like, well, you just get old, and this happens. Like, David's like, oh, okay, buddy, you got old. Look at you still saving me and stuff like that. You ain't old. Um, but the movie itself, with how they introduce it and tell us all about the characters, and then go straight to a close part to where if you haven't seen season 2, you don't really know what full cowling even is. That's why I felt like this was a really good introduction slash it was good for us veteran, like, OGs that have watched it from start to finish. Sure, we had to watch that little bits of clips of I am Deku and I am a kid who was quirkless and I cried when I saw that I couldn't be a hero. Like all that stuff is in the past to us OGs, but to the people who might not have watched the anime, it's the perfect thing for them, which I don't know how you're watching this movie and not the anime, which is kind of weird. But there's some people out there that definitely want to introduce someone to this anime, and this movie could be a good way to doing it. So good luck, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I didn't want this video to be really, really long because there's a lot I could have talked about an hour-long movie, but I don't think you guys want to hear everything I have to say. But if you do, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on on the links down below that I'm going to put down there, because I'll even have pictures from the movie up. So if you guys want to see any of that type of stuff, it will be there. And I am the Anime G. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, night, evening, whatever the case it is for you when you watch this. Take care, and definitely check out this movie. I would rate it an 8 because of how beautiful it looked, and the only reason why it doesn't get like a 10 and stuff was mainly because of knowing the continuity of the anime, and also knowing that All Might pretty much seems almost stronger. No, he seemed almost like weaker than he did against All for One. So I guess in the situation that comes up, he can really just rise to the occasion. Which that isn't even a negative point on them. It more or less comes down to the full gauntlet being destroyed, finding out that there was a device that they were working on to bring All Might back to his maximum power, which he said it was on the first stage or something. Marissa thought there was a whole nother experiment going on that was on the first stage, so they didn't even really get back to us if that was a All Might thing or if that was the same thing he was talking about. First stage being the thing Sam was working on, with the thief showing up and actually helping him steal the overall thing. So who knows right now? I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more reviews. I did watch this in sub, so that also might be another reason why I didn't get as much information that I wanted to about it, but it's okay. The dub was like in cam and very kind of bad quality, so I didn't really care to watch it. I'll definitely check it out on my own time. I don't think I'll be doing a review again about it. But I hope you guys enjoy this, and let me know what you're excited for coming up pretty soon, because a lot of our shows are coming to an end, and I'm gonna need some more action stuff. I'm gonna need some more gory stuff. I'm gonna need all the deets, all the deets. All right, all right, my anime people, take care and peace.